All right, what's up, everyone? This is the Osmo.com NHL Hit the Ice Show. We're back with another big 11-game slate. Contests maybe aren't as big as what we've seen the last couple days, but we're still pretty excited to talk some hockey. Here, joined by Nolan Kelly. Nolan, how you doing?
What's happening?
Not much. A little sad to see the contests go down in such a big way, but maybe if we start filling them up, they'll come back.
Don't we always fill them up though? Like, isn't that like this for me? I like the 20 max. That's my go-to contest, and like it's always small and it always fills. Like, why not just bump it up? Like, it's stupid.
I agree.
You know, coming off the All-Star break, like
they just don't want to get burned. I don't know. We'll see.
I guess that's it. But
yeah. DK did some slashing. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. They slashed everything. They changed the price points. They went away from the $5 back to the terrible $8, which I'm playing, by the way. So
yeah,
even though it's terrible, it's like it's the best I have and it's the only tournament there you can 150. So that's what I'm stuck with. But I think it's a pretty good slate. I don't know. What do you think?
It's an interesting slate. There's a lot of my line changes article just went up now. So there's a lot of moving parts tonight, and a lot of like late changes that we're going to see, and a lot of guys who are going to be game time decisions. And I think probably from a macro level, the best strategy is going to be to wait on some of these lines and see what happens, and then get them into your lineups. We were talking a little bit before the show about like Philip Danault on Montreal 1. He is not listed on any line sites yet, so that's a huge advantage if you can get him, because he's probably going to be like that. Montreal 1 is probably going to go under-owned. Same with Nashville 1. We don't know what's going on with them. If Arvidsson's listed as a game time decision, that could lower ownership for one of the in a vacuum best lines in the NHL. And then probably to a lesser extent Braden Point as well, who's still listed as day-to-day, but he'll get some ownership obviously, but just maybe a little less than normal, especially with the Leafs in such an appealing spot tonight.
Yeah, so the Tom JK 3-2-1 strategy. Take the guys that are game time decisions.
Take those lines.
Yeah, how often do you see? I mean, you see it happen a couple times a month, where maybe once a month that a guy who's a game time decision scores 3 points, and he's 1% owned while his line mates are 6 and 7% owned.
That's all you need, really. That once happened to me with Ovechkin, and I got him in. He was a for sure scratch, and he came in at the last minute. It was like 5 years ago on Draft Street days, but
really?
And he got a hat trick. Just won all the money. It was amazing.
Yeah, I never even got to play on that site. So
it was great. It was great.
Back when it was kind of the wild, wild west.
It was. No one had any data. We were just guessing.
Everyone's just
at least I was. I was getting owned, but.
All right, so ownership spots here. Maybe Toronto, New Jersey. Get a 7 total in San Jose Pit. Although at least two lines on both sides that you can play. Trying to gauge Tampa Bay. Those two lines obviously in different price points. And then outside of that, I like after the 7:30 Eastern game, so Tampa, Buffalo, and then Philadelphia and Montreal, I don't think there's going to be much ownership in these later games. Nashville game, the Dallas game, Edmonton, or Vancouver, really. I don't know. Am I off base on that?
Yeah, I think a lot of the late games are going to go under-owned. My first glance and look at them was like, well, there's not a lot here, right? Like maybe like you could probably expect some pretty defensive games at the end of that slate. So, I think though Nashville's a little bit appealing to me, and maybe like Vancouver 2 as well. There's a few lines, and McDavid as well. So, just coming back, it's not a great matchup, but he's going to go overlooked. And Toronto's just going to get so much ownership tonight. I don't know. What do you got them pegged for? Like, what do you think they're going to be at?
Toronto?
Yeah. Toronto 1 or Toronto 2.
Yeah, so Toronto 1, that's the one I like the best. That's the one I usually like the best. So, I don't know, maybe 15 to 20% for Tavares and Marner. Which is substantial on an 11-game slate. Still not to the point where I'm that worried about them. I'm going to include Hyman in all my stacks, I think. So he's a guy that people will leave.
They're going to be higher owned than that, don't you? Like I think they're going to push. Like Tavares and Marner will be 25, 20 to 25 for sure.
In the lower stake stuff, like the $8 and the $3, all that kind of stuff. You think?
I think so. Yeah, like they're so cheap.
They are cheap, but you kind of can't really pair them with Pitt all that easily. You can't really pair them with San Jose all that easily. There's a bunch of top defensemen to pay up for, like Letang, Burns, Carlson. There's 3 just in that game. Hedman back. Like, you've got Tampa on the slate at home.
Actually, yeah, that's a great point. And then, like, you've also got the split ownership with Toronto too, as well, right?
Yeah, people will play Matthews. People will power play stack it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're probably right there.
I think 25. I'd be surprised. I mean, it's not out of the question, but
that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's not like we have great ownership projections to fall back on. So it's really tough to do in NHL to kind of gauge ownership player by player, but you can sort of get in the range of the stacks. So that was some of the things, or one of the things that NBA guys were asking us, is their NHL ownership, and I haven't really seen a place that's done it very well. So
no. I think when we think about ownership, you could probably guess it as well as you can project it, right? Like you can look at things and kind of, like, it's like anything, right? Like any sport, you can kind of get a ballpark idea. But with hockey, like, you can kind of know which lines are going to be in, like, that 5% range, which lines are going to be in the 15 range, which lines are going to be in the 20 range. So, right. I mean, there's obviously variance, but I think once you play it enough, you kind of have a pretty good idea of where that ownership's going to go on a given night.
Right, and it's different to event-based sport, kind of like baseball, where, like, the highest implied total might be a half run or a half goal ahead of the 5th highest implied total. So and that changes ownership a lot. So just everything's so much closer in hockey than it is in like NBA or
right.
sport like that. So
yeah, you only have less variance. Yeah.
All right, let's get into this game. Let's do Toronto.
Absolutely. So, like, line changes here. Nazem Kadri left the game against the Blues last time out, which boosted Toronto 1 and 2's 5-on-5 ice time a lot. But it looks like Nylander is going to shuffle over to the third line center with Johnsson and Connor Brown, which is a nice cheap line. If Connor Brown wasn't on it, it'd be a lot better. And Johnsson's up on the top power play unit, taking Kadri's spot as well.
Yeah, so Kadri was the big news. So the Caps total under 3, Maple Leafs at 3.7. Holtby and Anderson. Like I mentioned, Tavares line is my favorite. They're probably going to get the matchup against the Kuznetsov line. Kuznetsov, Ovechkin, and Wilson are pretty bad defensively. The Caps are bad defensively overall. In my eyes, there's not really a bad matchup against Washington, especially when they're on the road here. I'm not worried about Holtby. I think Toronto should put up just a ton of shots, a ton of scoring chances. I don't think this is going to be a big Holtby performance because I think Toronto's going to create a ton of high danger chances. I thought the same thing a few weeks ago against Boston too, and got completely burned because he just stood on his head all game. So I guess he is capable of that. I'm not seeing him doing that tonight. I just love both of these Leafs line, especially this top line.
Yeah, and like Washington, we've been targeting them all year, and their penalty kill's been really bad recently, coming off a 4-game road trip, sort of like still on the road. And Toronto's generating the most high danger chances and the most scoring chances in the NHL over the past 10 games. Not converting at a high rate recently, but still decent enough. So I can see nothing bad about this Leafs play. I could see them going ham. I could see like a solid Josh stack working. If you want to go get a little contrarian, go like Toronto 1, Toronto 3, Toronto 2, Toronto 3. Not bad options in large GPPs.
Yeah, so the thing about Toronto 3 that's frustrating if you're playing on DraftKings is, well, in FanDuel, is they're all wingers.
Triple wingers.
Yeah, so if you're doing power play stacks, you can fit them in and fit in the whole stack and go like double center on another team, like with, just coming to my mind, like Couture and Hurdle or something like that. For me, I'm probably going to stay away from that. I like to even strength stack. So I'll probably miss out on Toronto 3 tonight. And if I'm going,
at least you'll get them at reduced ownership if you do decide to go that route. Sure. And then like you've seen, like I've seen pros or like that's a viable strategy to double stack like two top centers like Malkin Crosby or Stamkos Kucherov. You get the shared power play correlation time, so it's
Yeah,
not the end of the world to do that.
especially on teams that have really good power plays like Pittsburgh and Tampa. So
Yeah,
it makes sense in some scenarios. I don't know that I'm going to go to that tonight.
yeah.
And if I'm going against Toronto and against Freddie Anderson, who I actually really like a lot, it would be with Kuznetsov, Ovechkin, and Wilson. Just take the best line. I'm not sure. I can't really gauge their ownership tonight. I think they're going to be under 10%. So I like playing them as a contrarian play on my non-Freddie Anderson teams, which there will be a lot of them tonight.
Non Freddie Anderson teams.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I will have a lot of Freddie Anderson tonight, but as sort of a hedge and just because they grade out decently for me, I'm going to have some Caps one.
I like it. Yeah.
What about defensemen here?
Riley. Yeah, I'm going to have some Riley on some power play correlation teams. If you want to get maybe a little bit creative, take Muzzin, take the discount. But I don't know. I haven't crunched yet.
Okay.
But
yeah, you're on Cruncher, so
I'm on it. I'm doing it. It's working. Yeah, so like he doesn't have great value. He's expensive, but he's also underachieved lately. And like I just like the power play matchup here. So I will have some Riley in some 4-man stacks for sure.
Yeah, I saw he is kind of struggling lately, but the shots are still up, which we really like to see. I mean, he's not in Burns territory over the last 10 or 15 games because really no one is. But he is still like attempting around 6 shots per game over the last 10. So you like that. And then a good power play matchup here for the Leafs against the Caps. Bad penalty kill. They're trying to, make it better with acquiring Carl Hagelin. I mean, okay.
Where's he going? Is he going on the power play too or something? Like I heard someone say that.
Penalty kill.
Oh, the penalty kill.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I misread.
I think, and maybe I misread that. I don't know who the best penalty killers are, honestly.
That makes some sense.
Yeah. So
I don't know how good he is, but
he's a wanted commodity.
Yeah.
He gets traded like every couple of years. It's weird.
Experience. He's probably won a couple with Pittsburgh, right?
A couple, I think.
Yeah.
Whatever. Carlson for 6,100. He kind of handcuffs me if I'm going with the Caps one, so I didn't end up with a lot of Carlson, even though I recognize it's a pretty good matchup against the Leafs. You like targeting defensemen against the Leafs. I think if I'm going to a defenseman heavy here, it's probably Orlov, who's just 2,900. And that's really about it. A value there.
Yeah, Orlov's always in play when he's in that price range. He hasn't done much over the last month, except for that time he was paired with Carlson. But yeah, one of the better value plays on the slate, I think. I mean, let's be honest, Stetcher's down there, so just pay the extra $100.
Yeah, I actually agree with you tonight on that. So.
Nice.
All right, let's move it on. Carolina and Florida, we've got Peter Mrazek going up against James Reimer. 3 implied total for the Hurricanes, 2.9 for the Panthers. What do we have here for changes?
Yeah, so changes to the Florida Panthers lines. Mike Hoffman's back down on the 3rd line. And what's his name? Jace Howarth?
I couldn't tell you.
Jace Howarth.
Yeah, he's on the screen. This guy right here.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, so you're on delay.
Yeah, he's back up on. He's on the 2nd line. So yeah, a little downgrade for Florida too, and I don't know, Hoffman maybe is a one-off in cash. I don't know, and then that's it for major changes here.
Yeah, I don't know what Florida's doing with their lines here. I didn't read up a lot about this Jace guy. I like Trocheck and Dadonov together, but now there's not really much correlation with them. There's no correlation with them on the power play, separate units there, and then the other guy isn't going to play on a power play, it looks like. So maybe you go back to Florida 1 here. The problem with them is they're going up against Aho, Niederreiter, and Williams, who's just a line that I've been talking up a ton. And I kind of like taking another shot on them. I don't think they're going to see much ownership at all. And they've just been way too good. There's a couple lines like that may not be in the best spots tonight and maybe on the road, a couple of them. And their price isn't going to stick out to anyone, but I want to be overweight on them. And Carolina 1 is definitely one of them. Just talked about their numbers a bunch of times since Niederreiter's come over, and like continue to just dominate possession.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good play, and it won't be popular today after they let everyone down against the Rangers 2 nights ago. So I like that. I just see on our D listing here that Ekblad and Yandel are paired together. I didn't. Is that new? Because they were like, it was Yandel and Pissick before, wasn't it?
Yeah, they've been on and off together this season.
They're kind of rotating them all. Yeah, Ekblad was with Matheson last game and Mikoshin, so probably just rotating them around.
Yeah. So yeah, it's really just Carolina 1 here for me. I don't really see a ton more I want to take stabs at. So this one's a pretty quick one for me. You got anything on defense or any other stacks or goalies you want to mention?
Yeah, no. I was going to be on Florida 2 again just because like there was talent and they were priced down. Florida 1's priced up now. They're starting to get expensive, so it's a little bit less appealing. And I never mind like Carolina 2 or Carolina 3 as filler stacks, but they haven't been great as of late. So yeah, I like your Carolina 1 call for sure.
All right, let's move it on to the next one. We've got the Senators and the Devils. 3.1 implied total for the Senators, 3.5 for the Devils. Anders Nilsson going up against Corey Schneider. Any changes here? Is Duchesne playing, by the way?
Yeah, so Duchesne and Ryan are game time decisions. It looks like they're both going to play, but they're both not listed as playing. So there's another one of your like kind of random advantages. You can late swap them in if you want to. It's a decent matchup against the Devils. They play like a pretty low event hockey. But yeah, so we'll see. Right now, it's penciled in that they're out, but if they're in, it would probably just revert to the same lines as usual. And I think everything is the same for the Devils as well. So that's a great, as well, like something to keep an eye on this time of year, like especially with the trade deadline coming up next week. You're going to see a lot of guys, like there's going to be a lot of speculation about guys getting pulled from lineups. So it's definitely a good idea to keep an eye on what's going on in pregame line rushes, because guys can get pulled out. Or if you see trade chatter coming up, then there's a likelihood that guy's going to get pulled out of a game. So something extra to keep an eye on, I think.
Yeah, that is a good point. I wasn't getting to a lot of Ottawa, even the second line tonight.
Yeah.
Which worries me a little bit. Big road total for them. New Jersey hasn't been very great defensively. And then you don't really know if Duchesne's going to play, so you don't know how the lines are going to match up. The Zajac line hasn't been great defensively so far, which is a little bit worrisome in that I'm not getting a lot of Ottawa too. But I do like the Zajac line offensively. Him and Palmieri on the top power play. And then it looks like Wood's not on the power play anymore. Is that what you have?
Sorry, what was that?
Wood is not on the power play anymore. Is that right?
Let's take a look here. Oh, I just saw that from Josh in chat there that Matheson is out tonight, and that's why it's changed up. That makes sense. You missed last, or you think you got injured in game last game? Devils power play.
Yeah, so that would be the way to attack it, I think.
Yeah,
and I
both
think
these lines grade out really well for Osmo, right?
Yeah, I mean they're just cheap, and it's Ottawa. It's not like there's a bad matchup. I'd rather go up against Duchesne, Ryan, and Zingle. But it's not the end of the world if they get matched up with Whitestone, Kachuk. That's still not a great defensive line by any means.
It's just high event hockey, right? Wood wasn't on their last game, so I don't. Did you like? It was Brad Zajac, Palmieri, Johansson, Severson. So
it's Palmieri's on both of them on daily faceoff, I think.
Is he?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, he's not.
No.
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't matter if Wood's not on the line. I'll still play him for 3,900 with the stack, especially. So I'm not all that worried about it. He's been on and off the power play.
Do you like one of these New Jersey lines more?
Yeah, the Zajac line.
Yeah.
I just want to kind of follow where Palmieri's going. I think this is a spot where Palmieri's going to have a ton of shots, and if he's scoring goals here, it's likely going to be from Zajac, and same thing with Miles Wood too. So I'm more okay with playing Zajac, but never as a one-off. I'll play the stack though.
Yeah, I agree. Schneider coming on a little bit as well, so like I'm kind of upticking the Devils. I feel like maybe he's returned to form 1-2 in a row, 990 save percentage in those 2 games after just struggling out of the gate. So if the Devils can get some goaltending, Schneider's not a bad play at that price, and yeah, I don't know what to do with Ottawa. I think that I kind of like New Jersey. They seem to kind of be heating up a little bit, and Ottawa's bad defensively. So I don't mind pairing Schneider with some of these New Jersey stacks, and yeah, maybe getting a little bit of Ottawa if they end up playing Ottawa 1.
All right, so just one tweet right now from Bob McKenzie that I just got shared with. As I discussed on the TSN Hockey Bobcast, that should be available for download. If Ottawa does not have an agreement of some description with Mark Stone and or Ryan Zingle before tonight's game in New Jersey, I'd be shocked if they're in the lineup.
Whoa. So they'd be going with like a skeleton crew of a lineup then, especially if Duchesne can't go or Ryan can't go.
Yeah. All right, so that's...
So that's slightly contrary to the report earlier that they were discussing a 5-year, $10 million a year deal with Mark Stone, which is like just insanity. I don't get it at all.
So, all right, so if they don't have an agreement, oh, I see. If they're not signed, okay, I was like,
yeah, they're not signed.
I was thinking agreement with another team. I was like, why would they play them after they have an agreement with another team? But that makes sense now.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's going to come down to the wire, I'm sure, or maybe we find out in the next hour, but certainly in the next 2 hours when pregame skate starts for this game. So good thing this one's at 7 Eastern. Be sure you're paying attention. Blackwood was listed on the second power play unit on Daily Faceoff, so that's why. Mackenzie Blackwood, the goalie. So I think that would be Miles Wood.
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah,
that's
Daily
right.
Faceoff.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I missed that. Okay.
All right. So, yeah, just keep an eye on this one for Ottawa.
Yeah.
Kind of, I'm not
what
really
are you doing
that
with your boy
Who?
today? What are you doing with your boy today?
Mark Stone?
Chabot.
Not really playing him.
Yeah. That's the first time all year, right?
Yeah. Let's see. Did I end up with any of him?
Hey, was everyone just giving you shit in chat before you went off
Everyone
for
was
those
just
goals
hammering
the other night? That's some
Yeah.
just desserts.
So, yeah, I mean, the goals weren't very impressive, especially the second one. He just kind of dropped down and puck landed on his stick. But he's fine. He's
There's
6K. If no Stone and Duchesne, like, no way. And Zingle, too. Like, not like Zingle's anything great. But if there's no... Like, if those guys are both out, this is just maybe the worst team that's going to take the ice the entire season. So it should be a lot of Devils here. And then I'd get more exposure to not only the Zajac line, but also the Heischer, Johansson, Bratt line, which I'm not even in love with at this moment. Severson, PP1. I should probably bump him up a little bit. I don't have him projected very highly, but
I never get to him. I don't know why, but
yeah,
he's getting decent minutes. Doesn't shoot a lot.
He goes in spurts. He's one of those guys. Like, he's got a good shot too. I don't understand why he wouldn't, but we shall see. He's 4,400 and maybe playing against an AHL team, so I should get some exposure there. More
so
than
let's
0.
say like none of these Senators go. Let's say Stone gets held out, Zingle's out, Bobby Ryan and Duchesne are both sick. What's your exposure to the Devils going to be? Are you going to like adjust it the last second? Are you going to try and pump more in, or are you just going to stick with it?
Well, I've got a decent amount of the second line, but like I said, I would probably bump them up and just take out any Ottawa I have. If both Stone and Duchesne are out, I'm taking out all the Ottawa I have, and I would just transfer that over to the Devils. So however many lineups, whether it's 8 or 10 lineups, I would just make an extra 8 or 10 New Jersey stacks, because it just becomes such a better spot instantly if they're all out. So yeah, it'd probably be top line Jean-Gabriel Pageau as your center. So
Ottawa 3.
Yeah, that would be basically their top line if those guys were all out. But all right, ready to move on here?
Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready for this next game.
Minnesota and New York, the Rangers, 2.9 implied total for the Wild, 3.1 for the Rangers. Devin Dubnyk and Henrik Lundqvist expected to go here, both confirmed. Got anything on this one?
Yes. So a couple notes that I noticed. The first is that, well, the obvious that thing that Coyle's been traded. So Pontus Aberg is up on Minnesota 2 with Granlund and Parise, but also like we've seen for the last month or so that the top two units of Stahl, Zucker, Parise, Granlund have all been on the power play together. So it's been two forwards from each of the top two lines. And last game it was full line correlation on the top on both units. So it was Minnesota 1 with Suter getting about 61% of the time, and then that Stahl line getting about 40%. So if you have the wherewithal and the courage to go back to Minnesota tonight, you are not going to get them at any ownership, and they do get the Rangers' terrible penalty kill.
Yeah,
I don't know how much I can do it, but
so I don't know how much you're gonna need of them to get over the field. Like they're a broken team, it seems like right now. But we were both talking. Well, I think at the very least, like I'm just probably not playing a lot of Rangers here, especially this top line. I think they're a little bit overpriced. Like maybe people see the record or whatever, and they go with the narrative and say, yeah, Minnesota's, they suck now, all this stuff. They've been fine defensively.
Best team in the NHL over the last 10 games, limiting chances. It's just that Dubnik's been bad and they haven't been generating anything.
So as far as the number of chances they're allowing, so they shouldn't be giving up this many goals. And I think if I'm going to a Rangers line heavily, it would be the Hayes line. Just they probably are going to get the better matchup against Stahl and Zucker and Greenway instead of Granlund and Parise, who Zibanejad would likely get. So I kind of like the Stahl line here, and then I kind of like the Hayes line if you're going for the under-owned plays as the top two lines kind of duke it out. I know the Stahl line's listed as the top line, but I don't think that's how the Rangers are going to treat them. So. And then you can't really play Donato. You can't play him on DK at least.
Yeah, for sure. What about this Rangers 2 line that's kind of cheap and has a decent amount of upside? To get into any of them as a filler stack?
Rangers 2? Yeah, I said so.
Oh, you did.
They're just super, super cheap. And Buchnevich and VC actually are both okay as per 60 players. You put them in as second line players. Hayes is a guy that will shoot it a decent amount. Good peripheral stuff as well. And he's also on the top power play. So it makes sense. Then you add in the matchup that they're going to get, or the likely matchup against the Stahl line and probably the Eriksson-Ek line. So, yeah, I don't mind it at all.
Nice. You gonna get into any wild?
Yeah, the Stahl line, right on the other side.
Sorry, it's breaking up on me a little bit here.
Oh, I am?
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe that's why I'm not hearing. Yeah.
Okay. You got anything else in this one? I'll try to look at our connection.
No. I think don't hate Sutter, but probably not gonna have much. Probably just gonna try and get Minnesota one each of those two lines in a couple times, couple lineups, and just call it a day.
That's fair. And you're only 20 maxing, so it's tough.
Yeah.
All right. I don't have anything for the defenseman here. I don't know if you do.
Nah, not much.
And then Dubnyk and Lundqvist for 7,500 and 7,800. Any of those guys piquing your interest?
Yeah, I would probably go back to Dubnyk as like a 1% owned goalie if I was using Minnesota, but won't have a lot, that's for sure.
So I thought I was going to get to a bunch of Dubnyk, but I actually only got to like 5% of him. So I think that's where I'm comfortable using him in correlation with the wild stack. Yeah. Maybe this is a game they get it together. At least you're not going to have massive ownership on them, which is the nice thing.
Yeah, and at least with Dubnyk, you can kind of get these random games where he just is lights out. They happen about once every 5-6 games these days, but you never know when it's coming.
True. All right, here we go. We've got the 7 total here, almost 7 total, depending on where you look at. Sharks and the Penguins, 3.4 implied total for the Sharks, 3.4 also for the Penguins. Martin Jones against Casey DeSmith. We've got some questionable goaltending here, tons of offensive talent. What do we have to look out for as far as news?
I think everything is pretty much the same for these guys. Same power plays. Yeah, same stuff for both teams. Did you catch anything different?
I did not. So I didn't know if you saw something. Minnesota gives me a headache. Hopefully not just the state in general. Hopefully it's just the Wild. Yeah, so there's a couple lines. Well, one line I really like here is the Hurdle Kane Donskoy line. They've cooled off. over the last couple of games, they haven't had these huge breakout performances, but they're still generating at a really, really good clip, and actually better than the Couture line, and they're cheaper if you add in Donskoy. And then I think they're also going to get the better matchup. So they're going to avoid Crosby for the most part and see this Malkin-Kessel line. With Aston Reese, they've been a little bit better defensively, but if you look at just Malkin and Kessel together, they're just not good defensively. They really never have been over these last couple of years. So all that points me to San Jose 2 on the road here. I know it's a big total, but I think they might even see less ownership than this Sharks top line. What do you see here?
Oh yeah, they'll definitely be less owned. I think they're going to go really under the radar tonight. So that's a pretty, if you like them just as without ownership, factoring in ownership, that makes for a great play for sure.
Yeah, I do. So just such good numbers.
So how are their numbers recently compared to like that hot start? Like, are they coming back down to earth a little bit? But
well, yeah, they
were still respectable.
So yeah, still respectable. Like they're over 14 high danger chances per 60 in there. It's a much bigger sample now, so things have normalized a little bit, but they're still generating at a really, really good clip.
Yeah. The only issue with that line is that Kane is such a streaky player, right? So you never know. You could be going through
as far as goal scoring, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, anytime you shoot with that kind of volume, I think you're going to be a little bit streaky. But has he been cold? Him especially? I feel
for
like
3 games now, he hasn't.
Really?
I think he's got 1 point in 3 or something like that. Like
okay.
he hasn't been scoring at that clip that he was. But
right.
Yeah, so I usually just like try and ride the Evander Kane heater, but you never know when it's going to start, and that's a great GPP play because it's always good to get him when he's not coming off a heater because he kind of falls off people's radar and you get him at super low ownership, right?
Yep, and then you can play Burns or Carlson with them. I think they're both fine.
They both rate out well for you, hey?
Oh yeah. Just so well. Burns especially, he's going to be my highest owned guy, and then Carlson's not going to be that far behind at 6,400. It's just, they're both listed on different power plays. They might both play on both power plays. You just never really know. They're just going to get a ton of power play time, so you could take either one with Hurdle and Kane, even though the Penguins have a good kill. Massive total here. Those are 2 of my favorites on the entire night.
I like it.
Anything on the Pittsburgh side?
Yeah, I mean, like Wenzel and Crosby have been excellent of late. They're generating chances at some of the top individual players at some of the top levels in the NHL at all strengths recently. Yeah, I'm sure that I don't know. Like I don't really know what to do with it because like this game has the potential to shoot out. There's some possible game stacking here. Kind of like Pittsburgh 3 is a cheap filler stack. Are you getting to one of these lines ahead of any of the others?
I want to get to Pitt 1, the Crosby line. They're expensive though.
Yeah.
And then you try to get them in with Letang, and then it's really, really tough. And I don't have Letang being close to where Burns and Carlson are on a point per dollar basis tonight. So it's tough. The Malkin line is kind of the better value with Aston Reese especially, and 2 guys in the top power play. So you like that. I'm just worried that they could get a little bit run over against this Hurdle line, honestly. So it's tough. Like if I was hand building, I would get to more Crosby than Gensel, but on a value basis, it's a lot closer than what I expected it to be.
Yeah, that's fair. Pittsburgh was getting like outchanced hugely recently. They're starting to get pulled back a little bit more. Murray's kind of fallen back down. Is it DeSmith tonight though?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
But
I don't know. I'm not worried about Casey DeSmith either. Like Murray's been bad. He was good for a stretch there, now back to being bad. You just never really know. I don't think DeSmith has been anything that, like, I don't think he's shown you anything that you need to be that worried about. So I have no issue firing up a bunch of Sharks here, especially the 2 defensemen, but also San Jose too. Anything else here? Any of these other defensemen or anything?
No. Dumoulin is a cheap option as usual, but there's not a lot here. Justin Schultz, decent, I guess, decently priced.
Yeah.
Do you like Pittsburgh 3 at all?
Not really. Hornquist's price is good, but
yeah.
Bukestad and McCann
He's
are
been just awful. I don't know. Like I've been rostering him, just hoping for that breakout game, but man,
I mean, if he was up with Malkin and Kessel, that would change a ton, obviously. But he's just not playing with great players right now. He's playing with Derek Broussard. So
No,
he was playing with Broussard. Now he's with two new guys at Bukestad and McCann. So
yeah,
it's just tough. All right, ready to move on?
Yeah, interesting game there. It's gonna be tough to kind of figure that one out, I think. But yeah.
Flyers and Canadiens, 2.7 implied total for the Flyers, 3.3 for Montreal. Carter Hart going up against Carey Price. Speaking of some spotty goaltending, Carter Hart, what do we see here? Any news and notes we need to talk about?
So yeah, the big news is that Philippe Danault is probably going to play tonight. I don't see why he wouldn't play. He just was back. He wasn't injured. He was just away for the birth of his child, so he practiced this morning in full. So we would expect him to be on that top line again with Gallagher and Drouin. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Gallagher, Drouin. Yeah.
No. Gallagher and so this is wrong actually. What you see on the screen. I think it's going to be Tatar with Gallagher and Danault as like the Montreal one. So what we were accustomed to seeing the first few months of the season. And then I think they're going to go back to Domi with Shaw and Drouin. So the sites don't have it listed like that. You'd have to make that manual adjustment in Cruncher. I'm making it in Cruncher unless I see something in the next hour or something that says otherwise, but I doubt that.
So with then you'd have Domi and Drouin with their Victor Mete is on the first power play as well.
Yeah.
I missed that. Did you see that?
Yeah, he's 2,600 and listed there. Who knows? He doesn't really do much, so I guess he could do worse than that for 2,600 and just hope he gets an assist or two. But I'm still not, excited to play him at 2,600 even so.
So you think Tatar, Danault, Gallagher? So it's a tough call then because you basically have both of those lines. You're going to be able to get fairly unique combinations for. The Danault line will probably be a little less owned, but then the Domi Drouin line gets the power play one time, right?
Yeah, so Domi and Drouin would be on the top power play. Yeah, and then Danault, Gallagher, and Tatar split.
Their power plays are so split, though. They didn't have a single power play unit with more than 25% last game. So, and their power play's been so bad that I don't know if you really even need to factor it in.
So the thing with Montreal here is I like the team. I like that. I think I'm getting an edge on the lines here because they had an optional skate this morning. So obviously no line rushes. But Thompson just replaced Danault last game, but he was with Gallagher and Tatar for the whole game. Domi was with Drouin and Shaw. So they wanted to go back to that. In fact, the Beats even said it would have been Danault in practice yesterday or 2 days ago in the game. With Gallagher and Tatar had he been playing. So the sites don't have that updated. I'm making that manual adjustment in Cruncher. So maybe I don't need to go super heavy on Montreal if I've got what is already unique combinations. Mm-hmm. And you're not going to know at lock, too. So I'm taking that risk and just kind of splitting it because I also don't really know how the matching is going to go here. I was talking with Corsi, and he was saying maybe it's going to be Danault against the Couturier line, and then Domi would go up against the Giroux line, which in that case I'd really want the Domi line.
Yeah.
You want whoever's going up against Giroux, and you want to kind of avoid whoever's going up against Couturier. But I looked at what they did on January 19th, I believe it was. They had Danault going up against the Giroux line. So then it would be a super favorable matchup for the Danault line.
Yeah.
So it's
but
kind
you
of
also
pulling
have to factor in that they're Phillies doesn't even have a top line anymore because they're just basically Couturier's and Giroux are playing together for a huge chunk of the game now, right? Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. It's just Giroux that double shifts.
Right.
Yeah, okay, sorry. Forget I even said that. So it's basically Couturier getting his usual amount of ice time, Giroux double shifting on the second line and playing on the first line as well with Konechny.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't know. I'd really like to know who's going up against the Giroux line because then I could make a bigger stand and kind of avoid one of these Montreal lines. But as of now, I think I'm just going to kind of split my exposure. And like I said, I don't need to get a bunch if I think I'm going to be right on the line combinations.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to have combinations that people don't necessarily have.
Yeah, absolutely. And like like any disadvantage of the Couturier line will be mitigated by the fact that Danault is going to be 1% owned. So,
Yep, that too. He'll definitely be low owned. I don't really love
Flyers trending down a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
It's been a bit smoke and mirrors, a bit hot goaltending lately.
Is this
after that
right?
streak.
Is this right? Couturier is not on the same unit as Voracek and Giroux and Van Riemsdyk. Is that right?
For power plays, yeah, he hasn't been on the power play one for
Oh, okay. I did
all
not
season.
catch
I
that.
think.
I haven't played much Philadelphia as of late, but like the pricing isn't great on either of these two lines. If I was taking a stab at one of them, it'd probably be the Giroux line. But again, I just don't know how the line matching is going to go, and I don't really like Philadelphia as a team tonight, so it's hard for me to want to play a bunch of one of these lines. So
it's tough. You'd probably have to go with Philly 1 just because Philly 2 doesn't get any ice time together, and then Philly 1 at least has JVR and Giroux on that top power play unit. But it's just such a muddle right there right now, and like they just haven't been good. So I'm going to stay away from them. I'm actually going to target Price a little bit tonight. Anytime I can get a Montreal stack in there with Price, I'm going to do it.
Yep, that's fair. All right, ready to move on to the next one?
Yeah.
Buffalo and Tampa Bay, 2.8 implied total for Buffalo, 3.8 for the Lightning. Linus Ullmark going up against Andrei Vasilevsky. Any changes here?
Yeah, so Braden Point's back in after missing a team meeting. Tyler Johnson's skating on that line with Kucherov. It looks like Gord's on the third line and Palat's up on the Stamkos line with Miller. Check those line rushes, though, because we'll see if they change them up beforehand. I'm not entirely sure if those are going to stick. And then on the Buffalo side, Evan Rodriguez is up on the top line with Skinner and Eichel, and Reinhart is down on the second line. So with Buffalo 2, probably the best line of the night.
Yeah, Buffalo 2. Gotta fire a bunch of them up, right?
In my initial crunch with my Toronto 1 lock, I had a lot of TB3 today.
TB3. Oh yeah.
Using I think it was using your projections too.
Yeah. My projections like them. They like Cirelli quite a bit. So Osimo agrees. It looks like, even though he's not on the power play. Yeah, Osimo's got him as an A value, and he usually does have him in that A/B range. So I was getting a decent amount of Buffalo here, and I mean, I still think it's okay if you want to take a shot at this Eichel line with Rodriguez being so cheap. Kind of brings their value up a little bit. I hate targeting against Vasilevsky these days. Like he is just so tough. And then just obviously a really awesome top 9 here for the Lightning. Just a really deep team. I'll target them a little bit when they're on the road, but not as much when they're at home here. And one line team for the Sabres. Sorry about your Buffalo 2, but I don't know.
Vasilevsky hasn't lost since January.
Is that right?
In regulation, yeah.
He's just such a stud. I stack against him way more than I should, and I should stop doing it. So I don't know that I'm going to be playing much Buffalo tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to have some Tampa 2. I also got a lot of Tampa 1 as well, which is that Stamkos line, surprising. But, yeah, I think Buffalo's been pretty good on the PK of late, so that's something to consider. Just let me grab that stat real quick. But I think over the last 2 weeks, they have like the second best kill in the NHL. But I don't know if that's due to opponents or what, but I just noticed it. Let's see. There we go. Maybe I just made that up. So yeah, fifth best PK in terms of scoring chances against, and yeah, no, I don't. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I just totally made that up. Disregard it.
Yeah,
sorry.
No, that's fine.
I thought I saw something, but
I do that like 3 times a day.
Tampa's PK has been amazing.
Yeah, Tampa's just really, really good. I'm sad that I either just missed the boat on them as far as projections or something, but yeah. I think I'm with you. I like the Stamkos line. They're probably going to avoid Eichel as well, so they'll get your Buffalo 2. I know Buffalo 2 is a nice dominant line, but I think Stamkos can handle him here. Stamkos.
I've got a new Buffalo 2 now. Actually, it's coming up in a couple of games.
Oh, all right. Ready. I'm excited.
Line recommendation.
I'm excited.
Actually played them the other night too, and it worked out.
Nice. Well, Colorado 2 is not on the slate, so I wonder who it is.
Yeah.
You got any defensemen here that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I think just because Hedman's a game time decision, so this is another one of those spots where you're gonna want to be aware of what's going on there because Ryan McDonough's price hasn't gone up. So if Hedman is out, just get McDonough in. Don't overthink it. Same with Sergachev. Like he would probably be on the power play one. Do we have any news on Hedman yet? I would expect he's gonna play.
He skated.
Yeah, so I mean, he was a game time decision last game, so I would expect he's probably going to play tonight. So either way that goes, like Hedman's not a great play just because Buffalo doesn't give up a lot of fantasy points to defensemen, and he's priced up, and he's just not on that elite level of some of these other defensemen. That being said, he's not going to be owned at all. So if you have a really chalky couple lineups and you want to pivot off on some other D, or maybe get a share of the Tampa offense without going to it, Hedman's an interesting play.
Yeah, that's the Tom play right there. You toss him in, and if he's announced in, he's going to have decreased ownership. There's a ton of other defensemen to pay up for, and I'm not getting to him, so I don't think he's going to be super popular. If you can fit him, he never
breaks the slate though, right? Like he
hasn't this year. A bunch of times last year, he just buried me, time and time again. But maybe I'm just remembering it wrong.
And I think even like going to McDonough, even if Hedman is in, and if you got to leave your lineups and you just want to go to McDonough and put him in and hope that he's out, like no problem. McDonough still gets tons of time, tons of ice time, tons of power play time on the second unit. May even get power play time this time because he was so good last game. So
McDonough much better than Oscar Klefbom. So don't forget that.
Man. So close, Jake.
I was like 7 points away, but. There's a chance. Ready to move on?
Telling me there's a chance, yeah.
All right, cool. This one should be really, really quick. Kings and Predators, 2.2 implied total for the Kings, 3.2 for the Preds. Quick, Rene, expected to go here. Neither confirmed, so of course confirm if you're looking to play one or both of these guys. We've got some possible injury news with Nashville 1 here.
Yeah, so Arvidsson and Craig Smith both didn't skate this morning. Both will be updated later. Both, I think Arvidsson's more likely to play, but again, we have that day-to-day tag that's going to lower ownership. And then Hagelin's out for the Kings. They didn't have a skate this morning. It was, I think it was an optional skate, so we don't know line rushes. Daily Faceoff is guessing that Kovalchuk is up on that second line with Carter and Toffoli, but we'll have to wait for sure to get confirmation on line rushes. Not that a lot of people are going to be playing LA anyways.
Yeah, I think
so. Pretty much, you can't really say much about this game until you know what's going on, and we don't have the lines, we don't have anything. But as far as the late switch go, I mean, Nashville 1's has among the best numbers in the entire league, so there's nothing wrong with putting them in a plus matchup, pairing them with Pecorine or whoever ends up starting.
Yeah, so I think on your Nashville 1 lineups, if you are playing Nashville 1, which I think is a pretty smart thing to do, is you leave Arvidsson in. And then you leave one of your defenseman spots open and maybe upgrade to a defenseman, so you get a cheap defenseman that plays later, like a Stetcher or something. And then if Fiala's in, if Arvidsson is not able to play, you swap down to Fiala, and then you've got $3K to upgrade your Stetcher lineup. So I think that's a pretty sound strategy. I'm going to try to do that. Hopefully I remember to do that or have time to do that after I finish my 150. And I can go through my Nashville 1. But, just awesome numbers for Nashville 1 in the Carolina 1 and St. Louis 1 category. So that's a line that I'll just play. I just want to be on them for a few games in a row. Like, you just don't see those kind of dominant numbers. And then I'm trying to look up right now what the numbers are like with Forsberg, Johansson, and Fiala. They do have a sample this year. 73 minutes, 55% Corsi for percentage, 34 scoring chances, 16 high danger chances. So
that's good. Fiala's good.
Really good. Yeah, Fiala's. I mean, and skating with Forsberg and Johansson, I think you're in a pretty good spot at 3,900. Even if he's not listed on the power play, that's not really worrisome. So that's how I want to play it. I want a good amount of this Nashville 1 line, and I hope Arvidsson plays. But if he doesn't, got a pretty good consolation and a chance for a late swap with Fiala.
Yeah. Or even Dallas 1, St. Louis 1, you could just full swap out.
Yeah, you could do that as well.
But rather just keep Fiala.
Yeah. Fiala and Arvidsson are both going to be low owned because, no matter what happens. So
yeah,
I don't think people are on Nashville too. So it's not like you're going to get Fiala at an increased ownership if he's up on the top line. So
yeah, great point.
Anything else here?
LA, not much. Your boy Fantenberg is let me down the other night, but I might get to a little of him near the bare min. Just at 20 minutes a game. I don't know.
He's attempting shots. I mean, he's just I just hate, bad teams going into Nashville. It seems like a 6-0 win for Nashville just waiting to happen.
It's definitely a good opportunity. Like LA is depleted, their defense is depleted. They're. Are you worried at all about matching against Kopitar, or about them having to go up against Kopitar at all?
No, not at all.
All right.
Not at all. When this line's been this good and the Kopitar line hasn't been that good, it's not worrisome. I didn't even second guess it at all.
Roman Josi?
Yeah, you can play Josi. He's not as good of a play, in my opinion, as a guy like Burns or Carlson, but again, probably going to be lower owned. And you see what kind of upside he has in subpar matchups. I think it was against maybe Dallas two or three nights ago. He's got multi-goal upside. Not a lot of guys have that, especially at low ownership. So he's your guy if you're going to go into Preds 1, if you can fit that. Oh, by the way, Subban, he's 5,500, but he is attempting a lot of shots. So we've kind of seen that come up. He's a guy who projects really poorly for me because I use season-long data. So season-long, he's going to have like a D grade. Like, that's what he's got in mind too, but he's starting to come on a little bit. So
yeah, his minutes are up over the last little bit, right? He was down in like the teens for a while there. Now he's up in the sort of low 20s, getting to 25, 27. So I like that. I like that call. Subban's he's underachieved hugely this season, so you never know when he's due for a rebound.
Yep. All right, St. Louis and Dallas, we have a 2.8 implied total for the Blues, 2.6 for the Stars. Jordan Binnington and Anton Khudobin in net here. What about news and notes? Do we have anything in this game?
Braden Shen is out tonight for the Blues, and Jaden Schwartz is moving up to the top line. And some plug whose name escapes me is Rob Thomas.
He's on the top power play.
For who's Rob Thomas? Matchbox 20?
I don't know. I think that sounds right. Someone in chat will correct us, I'm sure, if we're wrong. I'm sure they'll yell at us, but
actually saw them live. So is he not a plug? I don't know anything about Robert Thomas.
I don't know. He's playing on the top power play. I don't watch a ton of Blues hockey, more lately, but he's probably going to get a minutes boost. He's been on the top power play for a while. I don't know that he's not a big part of it. Obviously, it's Tarasenko, O'Reilly, and Shen, or not Shen. Who am I thinking? Pietrangelo. That are the big parts of that power play. So it's just a bonus at 2,800 if you are playing this Blues second line, which they're super cheap. That's all. That's about as good as you could say about them. For me. What are you doing with this game as far as playing it? Lowest total on the slate?
Yeah, I'm not going to have too much, I think. So Rupe Hintz looks like he might be staying on Dallas 1. They had a 31% 5-on-5 share. They didn't go back to Ben last game. There was one of the beats or something had a quote from the Dallas coach, who's Jim Montgomery, who's saying that I think they're going to give him a long look for the duration of the season, and he might be up to stay. So maybe they like him. Maybe they like the way that line looks. So maybe don't necessarily jump to pair Ben with it tonight. Take a wait-and-see approach. I think it's probably going to be a fairly defensive game. I know Dallas has been holding opponents pretty well defensively. And then my sneaky line that hasn't been that bad is Dallas 3.
Dallas 3. Are you talking about Dickinson, Janmark, and Spezza?
Yeah.
Oh my.
15 minutes last game. Spezza 7.5 DK points.
Spezza,
under 10K.
Man, I can't remember the last time Spezza played 15 minutes.
I know, right?
But
they have generated 10 high danger chances, I think, together as a unit. So not the worst sub 10K line if you need one.
Yeah,
testosterone's all over it. I guarantee he's going to have them 5%.
He probably will. I don't know. I didn't find the need to go that deep, especially with me probably trying to get up now to this New Jersey top line.
Not on a big slate like this, but maybe in one lineup.
it looks more and more likely that Stone's going to be scratched, and that's Ottawa's best player. So probably going to be an increase in New Jersey exposure for me, just to reiterate that. As far as this game goes, the Sagan, Radulov, Hintz line will grade out as a decent value. They've been really bad at even strength in their first couple games together. So that's worrisome. And I think Hintz's $2,600 price tag and Ben and Radulov probably being a little underpriced, that's going to make this line pop a little bit for people, even in a low total game. And then they're probably going to see O'Reilly, Schwartz, and Tarasenko, which I hate. I don't like guys going up against O'Reilly, Schwartz, and Tarasenko. Schwartz is cheap, so I really side with St. Louis 1 in this matchup. And I don't know that they're going to be super owned either.
Not going to get owned. Khudobin is always capable of putting up a goose egg, right? So, and he has recently. I think he's had 3 pretty poor games in a row, let in 5, 3, 4 goals. So that's not a bad call. Probably at like 5% ownership for that St. Louis 1 line, who's been lighting it on fire recently.
Yep. So that's really all I've got here. If you've got anything else you want to mention, any defensemen,
Nope.
Feel free.
Nope.
Nothing? Cool.
Nothing.
Islanders and the Edmonton Oilers, 2.8 implied total. For the Islanders, 2.7 for the Oilers. Robin Lehner going up against Mikko Koskinen. I thought Lehner was confirmed, but maybe not. Maybe I was just...
He must be, just because
I think
Grace last night,
yeah,
right?
Grace. They played last night. Yeah, okay. So Grace was last night. They said they were going to split the back-to-back. So it should be Lehner unless something weird happens. I've already seen something weird happen with Islanders goalies earlier in the year, so not unheard of there, but just keep an eye on that if you are playing Lehner. Do you like anything in this game?
I think that McDavid will go under-owned just because it's a bad matchup and he burned everyone last night, but not a lot. I think this is probably going to be another one of these low event games, like maybe a little bit of Islanders 1 as like a contrarian play that probably they're pretty cheap and they won't get much ownership and they have power play 1 time. I might as well have like Edmonton 2 if they end up just like as a couple one-off filler stacks. But yeah, like not a lot here. We have to wait and see what the line rushes are. I'd assume that Edmonton goes back to what they were doing before, but they had an optional skate this morning, so we don't know. But I can see no reason why they wouldn't go back to Draisaitl and McDavid and Cassian, right?
Yeah, I think that's the expected lines. Expected, quote unquote. You just never really know with Edmonton. And if they are with Cassian, like that line's been better offensively than I would have expected. I thought Cassian maybe would anchor them down, but McDavid is just that good that they're still generating 17.6 high danger chances per 60, 36 scoring chances per 60.
That's Edmonton 1?
Yeah. In 80 minutes too. It's not like it's just some garbage 20-minute sample or something like that. So Islanders on a back-to-back, like there's your reason to play McDavid. 18K for the line is pretty decent if you can stomach the Cassian play. Not saying you should stomach the Cassian play. Feel free to leave him off if you've got another punt. You can play Rupe Hintz for $1,100 cheaper if you'd like. I don't know. I mean, I think McDavid's going to be somewhat owned tonight. Just because of his name and he's with Draisaitl, but who knows? I could be just dead wrong on that.
He's up until recently listed as day-to-day as well on the sites, so could lower. Usually that lowers ownership a little bit, but
I thought I would like this Islanders line a little bit more. I still do like him, Nelson Lee and Eberle. That's my clear target.
Yeah.
But just because I think they're going to see some of the McDavid line, probably not all. He's probably going to see some time against Barzal as well. But I just like the full power play correlation, and especially Anders Lee as a one-off for 5,200.
Yeah. No ownership.
Probably not much, even though the Oilers are a dumpster fire. They're cheap. Yeah. So
I like that. I like that call. It's good. Good little pivot there. Fairly cheap stack.
What about any of these defensemen here?
So I looked at the power play time for the Oilers, and because you were on Clefbaum last game, and it cost you $25,000. No, it's It looks like it's going to be Nurse again. I would assume Nurse got about 70% of that power play time last game, so I would assume it's going to be him on the power play one again, but that could change. So Klefbom's a nice pivot, but a little too pricey for me going up against the Islanders, so not going to have much here.
Yeah. So I just was wrong on the Klefbom thing, but that's
no,
all right.
It's a smart play though. Like if you like, it's a sharp play if you think that's what's going to happen as well. We thought McDavid was going to be in, right? So
yeah. I don't know. It's fine. I mean, it's just the top two lines for me here. I'm not going crazy in either one of them, but I don't know if this game is going to be super, super highly owned outside of maybe McDavid and Draisaitl a little bit. Got to mention Polak. He's my boy, 5,200. Yeah, that's about it. He's just a guy that grades out pretty decently for me, better than Osmo, it looks like, who has got him at a C value. Last game of the night, you got anything?
Yeah, Canucks. So the top lines have changed, or the lines have changed for the Canucks. Ryan Spooner's going to make his debut. A couple plugs with Horvat. I think it's Tyler Mott and
Lebo.
It's Josh Lebo, who's not terrible. Granlund with Gaudette and Roussel. Stetcher still on the top power play unit. Ashton Sontner is in on the defense. So Edler's out. Tanev is out. Stetcher and Hutton are going to get a ton of minutes again tonight. That's probably around 30 minutes. And then, yes, did I say Stetcher on the power play one?
Mm-hmm.
So, Arizona, are they on back-to-backs? They played last night, right? Yeah, no, back-to-back yesterday day. Is that?
No, that
no,
was...
just made that up.
Well, who did they play last night? They didn't play last night, did they?
Did they play? They played Calgary.
They played Calgary 2 days ago. Or
2
no,
days ago?
maybe 3 days ago.
Monday? Oh my
All
god.
right, let's see
It's
here.
all blurred together here.
They did not play yesterday. They played... The last time they played was Tuesday. They played into Edmonton. And then
right, that was
Monday,
the McDavid game. Right.
Monday they played... Monday they played.
So Coyotes play a pretty boring brand of hockey, pretty defensively sound. Their penalty kill has been a little bit worse of late than it was to start the season. They were like in the bottom 10 in the league, but I might have a few shares of Pettersson and Besser and Spooner if he's actually on there. Yeah, he is. So Spooner's the bare min. That's not a bad combo to get in on. Not a lot. I won't have a lot of them, but I think they're capable of breaking the slate at any time, right?
Sure. Man, they're just so pricey and you're just paying kind of for a power play matchup. I guess for the even strength matchup because of the Arizona PK. We've talked about them a bunch. They're probably going to go up.
Playing a lot lately, though. He's playing 22 to 24 minutes.
Yeah,
That's part of the reason. And
Spooner is a lot of salary relief at Deadman. He looks like he's going to play on the power play some. So they're probably going to get the Cousins line or the Richardson line, so they're going to avoid Stepan, which is the most important thing, I think. Yeah, Horvat will likely go up against Stepan, or maybe Granlund and Stepan. I don't know. You could see the Pettersson line against the third and fourth lines here for the Coyotes, depending on how much they want to play them. But they're going to be in a favorable even strength spot, I think. It's okay for me. I'm getting to like a few shares out of 150, so I wouldn't say I'm going crazy on the Pettersson line, but that's really the only play I have from this game.
Yeah.
Outside of Stetcher, Hutton, and Ekman Larson, and Chychrun for that matter. So I guess I like the defenseman here. Just a lot of value all over the place.
Ekman Larson still too cheap. I don't know how Ekman Larson and Chychrun are cheaper than Goligoski and Oosterley, but
yeah,
here we are.
Ekman Larson, weird pricing there. Hutton's underpriced, and then Stetcher probably gonna be the chalky-ish guy in that range, but get above like 12 or 15%.
You think so? Think it's gonna be that high? I mean, I guess he
won't get above that. He might be under 10.
Yeah. I would say around 10. Yeah. Who did we think the other day that wasn't going to be chalky? Oh, Hronek on Detroit. It was like 17%. So
that's because
smaller slate, but
DFO had updated it. You had a lot of guys with Fantasy Cruncher, and that's I think where they get their lines from. So it was updated, and people probably were power play stacking and stuff like that. It was just a super popular game, so he was going to be owned, but still not to a point where you really needed to worry about it on a 4-game slate.
Yeah, I agree. He got the assist, so.
Yeah, he got 1 assist and didn't do really anything. I think he had 2.5. Mrazek starting for Carolina. Yeah, I think we expected that, but it's confirmed now.
Did we? I thought it was McElhinney, so that's better. McElhinney's better, right?
I have no clue on the Carolina goalies, honestly. But, all right, so we went through all 11 games, and there's definitely some news that you're going to need to pay attention to. Pay attention to Ottawa. Pay attention to some of these guys like Hedman, game time decisions. There's a few others. Who am I forgetting here?
Arvidsson,
yep. Danault. Montreal Lines. I could be wrong in that, so don't get mad at me. I'm telling you what I'm doing, but if I'm wrong in it, then I'm going to... What's the opposite of reap the benefits? So
on the plus side, if you're just looking at all these changes, you could pretty much go from like if you're like short of time, you could go from like 3:50 Pacific, what's that, 6:50 Eastern, to like a window of like 40 minutes, and you got all of these changes covered because there's basically like they're all within that window. So
yeah, for sure.
If you can do that, it's probably an advantage.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, guys, and there will be a show tomorrow to be determined, but yeah, there will be a show. I'll be on it for sure. We'll talk about what we're going to do for that, and good luck tonight. Enjoy some of these smaller contests. Hopefully it just gives you a better chance to take down that first place prize. So good luck, guys.